Z Fold 5, 2 screens, 1 phone. The Fold 5 cannot be reviewed like a normal phone because it is much, much more than that. This is a shift in mobile technology, a change in behavior that opens up entirely new possibilities of how we interact with portable technology. This isn't hyperbole. This is the Galaxy Z Fold 5. Let's go. Hello everyone, Daniel here from Tech with Benefits. To review the Z Fold 5 today, I'm going to take off my YouTuber hat and I'm going to put on my general consumer hat. The thing with this phone is I use a lot of it to run my YouTube business, but also to use it to create content with, specifically for the channel. Not everyone's going to need to do that, but I use this phone enough as a general user as well to know the benefits of what this can offer to someone who doesn't have a YouTube channel like me. I want to showcase that an average Joe can use this thing. It isn't just for productivity professionals, but it's amazing at that as well. Let's look at the categories that I'm going to cover. We're going to look at the design and how it's sort of handled and held up durability wise in the 2 months that I've been using it. I'm going to look at the cameras, take equal part measure in output, but also in functionality that I've been using it. We're going to look at the productivity features that I've been enjoying and also the entertainment that I've been able to get from the form factor. And then look at the performance. How has things like the 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy and the battery 4400 milliamp hours held up in my usage with the Z Fold 5? It's a big review, so let's get into it with the design. The thing to note, and the thing that you're aware of when you use it is thicker. The two sandwich sort of sides of the phone do come across almost like two phones in one. Now I know there is much thinner folds out there, but a lot of them have made sacrifices in certain areas that Samsung haven't wanted to make, but I'll get to that a little bit later. The thing that I do like though is that when it is closed, it's narrow. It is an incredibly narrow phone, which makes one-handed use a breeze. And for a phone like this that is a little bit heavier and a little bit thicker, it's actually kind of nice to have that narrower option because you can reach all the way across the other side of the screen. And if you are carrying something else in your other hand, it doesn't feel like this is too heavy or too wide to be carrying. You don't need to readjust, for example. I noticed immediately that it was lighter than the Fold 4. The second I picked it up at the hands-on event in Sydney that I attended in July, I could tell the difference in weight.
God, it actually feels really light in the hands.
It does.
As time goes on, it's not actually bothering me that much. It actually does feel kind of comfortable to hold for long periods. And I used to get fatigued with the Fold 4 and the Fold 3 before it, but I haven't had that issue here with the Fold 5. It's not too heavy for pockets or carrying it around for sort of long periods of time. It actually fits kind of nicely into jeans because jean pockets are getting a little bit narrower and it kind of slides in kind of nicely. When you open it, it's a marvel to look at. The under display camera, which I think makes a huge difference in aesthetics on the inside display, means that you're getting this near perfect, near distraction free experience, especially when you're looking at it straight on. A lot of other foldable companies are continuing to persist with the Infinity O display on the inside of their foldables, not realizing that the whole point of a foldable is you have other cameras that you can take advantage of, and that inside one is there for video calls. So masking it with display, as they've done here with the under display camera, really gives you that sense of full screen immersion that you should be getting out of your foldable. The thing is with both displays, is individually, each display wouldn't be enough. If you just had the display on the front, it wouldn't serve anywhere near enough purpose. Or if you just had the display on the inside, you wouldn't be getting the convenience and portability factor that a foldable phone can give you. That's why combined together, having both displays does give you the best of both. You get the convenience and one-handed use case on the front, and then you get all of the productivity and entertainment that the inside display can afford you. Samsung's vision is realized, especially when you use this for an extended period of time. A lot of people tend to use this for a couple of weeks and then go back to a normal phone, but you really need to give this the time of day to truly understand what Samsung was trying to achieve. Now on to cameras. I've busted the myth about the cameras on this. I've done 2 videos, one talking about every single way that you can use the Fold 5 cameras, and another one that showcases the Fold 5 against the S23 Ultra. Both videos showcase that the output on this camera is flagship quality, and I will not hear another word about it. The thing is, what it lacks in physical hardware in terms of its sensors that are on board, it more than makes up for in flexibility. And that pun was entirely intended. In terms of the output of the photos, I will put some photos up as I'm sort of talking through them. What I noticed is that Samsung have gone for the punchier, more contrasty color processing option with the Fold 5. I think Samsung has done this with their Folds for the last few generations to, in a way, make the photos seem more aesthetically pleasing. Might not be for everybody, but I certainly do enjoy the contrast, the darker sort of shadows, the more sort of punched up colors. I do like it, and I think it definitely puts the Fold in a unique position to still be capable of taking good photos, but also be able to do it in a way that no other phone can. When it comes to video, 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy really affords it a nice bit of extra processing that you can get. It's the same story. The video does provide a little bit extra contrast, a little bit extra processing to make the videos stand out a bit more. But it has all of the flagship video features that you would want that gives the output pretty much on par with the S23 series of this year. Samsung did a really good job with the S23, so the Fold 5 definitely takes that into account as well. The thing I really like is that I've busted the myth too that iPhone is what you need for taking videos. Like there's this perception out there that if you don't have an iPhone, you may as well not be a YouTuber or even take videos at all, which is just so wrong. I've proven it wrong because pretty much every single video on my YouTube channel is shot using either the S23 Ultra or the Z Fold 5. Away from that though, away from YouTube, everyday life, these cameras offer plenty for video. The portrait video mode is exceptional at capturing the moments that you want to make a little bit more cinematic, and it can go to 4K portrait video with the Fold 5 versus not with the Fold 4, and that's been a really big upgrade that I've appreciated. The thing is, none of that matters. None of what its output is really makes a difference because of everything that you can do extra with the Fold 5. The output being great is a bonus. As a content creator, this form factor offers up far more possibilities for me than something else might do because of a lot of different things. But as a parent and a general person who likes capturing the world around me, it still gives me all of those things. And if not, it's actually more useful in those situations. Things like flex mode. Flex mode for photos is sensational because I can just put the phone down, pop it down somewhere like at a cafe, and I can just snap away. And it's not in anyone's face. It's kind of inconspicuous. It really does sort of make it so much easier to capture content because all you need is a flat surface and your phone, and you've got a tripod to carry around with you everywhere you go. Flex mode for videos is just that same point. Again, you pop it down somewhere, and what I really like about it is it means that you can get involved. There's so many times where I try and get involved when it comes to moments that I'm capturing, but it's really hard to do it because there's either no one to take the video for me, or I have to awkwardly sort of peer around and inject myself into the video. Whereas I don't have to do this here. The flex mode means that I can set it down on the table and go set up my son's bike. I don't have to stress. I don't have to not be involved, and I still have a memory that I can know I was a part of. Another part to this too is the auto framing. This was something the Fold series introduced when flex mode sort of came into play, is auto framing is so good. It's so good. Pop the phone down, turn on auto framing, and it can follow you around the room. It can follow you around the backyard. Multiple people at once can be tracked and followed. And again, it means that you can be part of the action and you have a dedicated videographer following you around everywhere you're going in that scene. I use the cover screen for preview all the time. I find that kids, and it's absolutely no fault of theirs, they are very easily distracted. So getting them to sit still and pose for photos or be natural in an environment is incredibly difficult if you want to take a posed photo in particular. Cover screen and having the preview turned on means that they can sort of see themselves, and kids love looking at their own images, I've learned, and it just means that they can focus and they're actually looking at the camera, and I'm going to get a nice photo of it. It's been great for that, especially using it for single take mode, my favorite mode. And the other thing I've really appreciated is the optimized UI for the camera display. The inside, especially when it's open, you get the chance to make it a bit more custom to the Fold's form factor. So the right hand side becomes your preview, and then the left hand side becomes your review of your photos. That's great, especially because you can see multiple photos at once, and you can sort of pinch to zoom in on them. You can delete them from there if they're not great. It just gives you a better understanding of what you've captured. So you might not need to capture 100 of them. You can just capture the one, you're getting a good review of it. Now, I've said all this, I would love the S23 Ultra's camera system on here. It's not even about the main camera, it's the zoom. I would love the 10 times zoom. It's not like I miss it all the time. There are just moments when I think to myself, gee, it would be great to have 10 times optical zoom right now. So one day I hope to see it on here, but it's not something that if I didn't have the S23 Ultra, I didn't know what it was, I would be fine with this. Isolated on its own, this is an exceptional camera system that they've put on the Fold 5, and one that I'm tired of people slagging off. Absolutely. Productivity. If you ask an iOS user, they'll tell you how pointless multitasking is. Just ask them. You know what? You don't even have to ask them. They'll just literally tell you. Or they'll say this, I tried it on Android and I only used it a couple of times. That's the point. It's not something you're going to be using every day. This is here, so when you need it, it's available. Because there are specific use cases that you might have that would mean multi-window would come in handy. And it's not hurting anyone if you're not using it, because it's just sitting there idle in the background. It doesn't hurt anyone. Calm down. The thing is, all that's true, I guess, for a normal slab phone. Something like the S23 Ultra or the standard S23 series. The Fold 5 and it's a 7.6-inch display on the inside genuinely makes multitasking everyday occurrence for me. It is so easy to use. Samsung has removed all the steps and the barriers that would stop you from using it because there's too many ways you can bring it up, or it's hidden in the settings, or you got to hold down this one. No, the taskbar has made it so easy to bring multi-window environments into play that you don't even need to think about it. It becomes a second nature to you when you start using it a couple of times. The thing that's even expanded it more is the taskbar this year is the 4 recent apps on the bottom. So it means that I can jump back and forth between the different apps that I'm using, or bring up the app that I used 3 hours ago into multi-window to have a true side-by-side experience. It has become so accessible that it's now my habit. I don't even think about it anymore. I literally will just bring a second app that I'm using into it because it's that easy to use. And it doesn't even have to all be about work. Productivity can be doubling your social media output, side-by-side Instagram and Twitter. And you might not think that's productivity, but if you're going on Twitter, then scrolling Instagram, why not do both? No, that one's a little bit ridiculous. What I do like though is YouTube and Twitter, for example. Having YouTube open at the top and then bringing in a pop-up window for Twitter, or bringing YouTube on one side and Twitter on the other. So if I let the YouTube video sort of play through, and I can sort of scroll Twitter as I'm kind of having the background video playing. The other day I put on 2 football matches. So I had one at the top, one at the bottom, and the aspect ratio of the Fold 5 means that both videos are actually quite large in size. It's so good. That's what makes taskbar and Samsung's multi-window so good. It's so many possibilities, and I've just scratched the surface. At the moment, we're planning our trip to Italy. So this morning, I had Outlook open on one side, I had my Italian train ticket purchase website on the other, and I was trying to match up dates. I was trying to get everything organized and compare pricing, and it's just been so handy for that. Productivity isn't just limited to the inner display though. With the cover screen sort of being connected through software with the inner display, you can use that cover screen to browse things, like browse through your email list, browse through YouTube, and whenever you found the thing that you want to expand, you open it up and it just opens it seamlessly on that point. So they're connected, and productivity is seamless between the two in that way. I have the S Pen, but because it's not embedded, I often forget about it, which is a shame. I treasure the S Pen from the S23 Ultra, but it's because it's inside, I use it way more frequently. I try my best to carry this around with me. I have it here at my desk at all times, but again, it's the extra bit of step or extra barrier to pulling it out from the desk, then taking out of its sleeve, and then having to remember to use it. Then there's Samsung DeX. Funnily enough, I used it a lot more with the S23 Ultra. I think a lot of that is down to the fact that the display on the S23 Ultra is limiting to the size that it is. The Fold 5, being as big as it is on the inside, means that I don't necessarily am chasing a bigger experience. I can get what I need to get done on the Fold 5 screen. What I would love, and I have seen this a lot in my comments, is the Fold 5 to have DeX natively like the Tab S9 series does. That would be a game changer. The Fold 5 is built for media consumption. As much as you have the productivity element that I've just gone through, the entertainment capability of this, second to none. you will not find a better smartphone for watching media and consuming content. Yes, you do get the black bars top and bottom, but side by side to the S23 Ultra, you are actually still getting more viewable screen because of the fact that it has a bigger screen to begin with. And you can see that in its side by side right now. What adds to entertainment is the speaker output. Because it is not a traditional smartphone, it doesn't need to rely on the top speaker output to be a speaker as well. So they can put true balanced stereo sound on here. One at the top and one at the bottom that have equal output. You can listen to it here, it sounds phenomenal, and honestly, you won't probably need a tablet. That's how good it is. iPhone 15 Pro Max. Let's go. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech with Benefits. Daniel here, and we're going to jump straight into it. The reason I say that is because I used to watch a lot of content on my Tab S8/9 Ultra. I still kind of whip out the 9 Ultra every now and then, but having this has made it an extra step that I potentially don't need to do, because I will just pull this out of my pocket, open it up, and I have a nice sized display close enough to my face, and it's way more convenient because, again, all that stuff I spoke about with the multitasking is available on here. I can still do other things whilst also watching my media. The other part too is the flex mode. I regularly will be cooking dinner in the kitchen and I will have the phone in flex mode propped up somewhere so I can have it as a stand, watch content in the top half, and have the media controls on the bottom. The new YouTube media controls for flex mode make it a lot easier to scroll through the video, so it's a really great feature and one that I use often with my Fold 5. Normally in my reviews, I also like to chuck in ecosystem. But for me, the Fold 5 is such a good device isolated on its own. It deserves its own space. It deserves to be spoken about on its own. You could use this with or without Samsung's ecosystem of products, and you would not be disappointed either way. That's how good it is. With the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy on board, it's been an even more impressive year when it comes to performance on this versus the Fold 4 with the 8 Plus Gen 1. The operation feels effortless. The software and how everything sort of seamlessly works together is smooth, as it should be for a phone that costs as much as it does. From a battery standpoint, that's probably the real sore point that I have here. I can get the day. I'm a pretty heavy user on this thing. I use the display on the inside more than the outside, which is contrary to what a lot of people say about their Fold usage. A lot of them use the front display. I'm like, nah, give me that sweet inner. I do also take a lot of video and use the camera a lot. So on a day like that, the screen on time will probably get to about 6 to 7 hours. If I'm a bit more of a moderate day, I can probably push it slightly into the second day, but most of the time I'll end the day after waking up at 5:30, 5 o'clock. I'll end the day with about probably 20 to 30% at about 9 o'clock when I go to bed, which is fine. I expected that. It was never going to be the battery of the S23 Ultra, but I think it's enough for what I need. That being said though, wouldn't hurt to have a bit more. So overall, are there things I'd like to see more of with a Fold? Yeah. But is that a reason to say that this isn't good? No. Samsung are building their Fold category slowly, and I think it's the right approach. In the past, they would be going gung-ho with Folds. They would be throwing everything at it, and it potentially would be a poorer product off the back of it. So I like and appreciate that they are building slowly and have an end goal in mind that maybe we aren't aware of yet, but eventually will end up being the default of their smartphone lineup. This is my device of the year, hands down, because of everything that it offers and everything that it's afforded me in my journey so far. I'm here for it. Thank you. I know this was a really long video. I just really have a lot to say about the Fold 5, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to it. If you like this and want to know more about me and the journey and the devices I use, go down and subscribe. I talk about Samsung a lot, so make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you liked this. I was rambling. I've got plenty more on the channel when it comes to Samsung. If you liked this one, make sure you go check it out. Plenty more reviews coming, so make sure you stick around for that. Between now and the next video, come find me on Twitter/X, and I'll see you in the next one. Yo!